Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and good evening. This is Apostolos Mangiriadis from Sky Television, and I have the honor and the privilege to join you with the concluding session of the Athens Energy Dialogues today. That is the last chat we have for a 2 days conference. Would be with the Commissioner Kadri Simson. She is serving as the European Commissioner for Energy under the von der Leyen Commission since December 2019. Commissioner Simson, hello from Athens, and hope everything is okay in Brussels.
Good afternoon.
I'm sure that everyone who is really now watching is waiting to listen to your opening remarks. So I'll pass you the digital floor for the next 5 minutes, and then we'll start our chat.
Thank you, Apostolos, and thank you for the opportunity to have this chat with you today and talk about the EU energy policy. I'm sure that the main outlines of the European Green Deal are by now familiar to everyone in the energy sector. These are that we have committed to reach climate neutrality by 2050 and cut emissions by at least 55% by 2030. And as we all know, energy plays a major role in this, as we are responsible for 75% of EU's greenhouse gases. And last year, we set the strategic direction for the sector and laid the groundwork for delivering the Green Deal. To reach net zero, we have to rethink our energy system to make it more flexible and less wasteful. So in July last year, we adopted the energy system integration strategy. And in this energy system of the future, we will need renewable hydrogen for sectors that cannot be easily electrified. And therefore, we presented our ambitious hydrogen strategy in parallel with the energy system integration. 40% of our energy-related emissions come from buildings. And to address that, we put forward the renovation wave. The aim is to double the energy renovation rate in the EU and renovate 10 million buildings by 2030. As we need significantly more renewable energy so that we will meet our targets, we came out with an offshore renewable energy strategy to quickly scale up offshore wind and give a boost to new and innovative energy technologies such as floating wind and solar and ocean energy. And finally, at the end of the year, we proposed a revision of the Trans-European Energy Networks Regulation to make sure that the cross-border infrastructure EU supports is in line with the Green Deal goals. And many initiatives in the portfolios of other commissioners, of course, also have an impact on our plans. And I want to specifically mention the Just Transition Mechanism that we put in place to ensure that no one is left behind as we move towards net zero. While 2020 was the year of strategies and preparations, now 2021 will be the year we will come out with several key legislative proposals that we need to reach the new 2030 targets. And in June, as part of the Fit for 55 package, we will review the renewable energy and energy efficiency directives, including the targets. And based on our modeling, a 55% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions requires an increase of renewable energy share to a level of 38 to 40%. And we therefore need to review the Renewables Directive to be able to deliver the increased renewable ambition. And likewise, according to analysis so far, energy efficiency would need to make a key contribution to that 2030 target in the range of 36 to 37% for final and 39 to 41% for primary energy consumption. And the exact levels and details of the targets and measures that we need to achieve.
I guess we're having some issues, some troubles reaching out Commissioner Kadri Simson. She was in a place where she was talking about all the ambitious targets that Commission is setting both on renewables and during, of course, the Green Deal target set by 2030 and 2050. I know, I understand that there are some problems with our connection that I am informed that will be resolved pretty quickly. As you understand, this is something that we're facing during the pandemic. All connections are helping us out, but at this point, we're facing very, very small, tiny issue with the connection. Hopefully, Commissioner Simpson will be with us shortly. As I said, she was uh, actually doing her, she was actually going over her opening remarks regarding the optimistic targets set by the Commission on the Green Deal and on the energy strategy for the coming years in Europe. Um, I don't know whether control room, master room has any information on whether the short issue of connection is restored and we can connect back to Brussels and see whether Commissioner Simpson is with us. Um, I understand that the issue will be resolved in a few minutes. We have to just wait for a little while. Here she is. Okay, Commissioner, you can hear us, right?
But unfortunately, I don't know when I lost my connection.
Okay, we lost you in about a minute ago, so you can just continue.
Most probably, it was the most interesting part about our global partnerships. And I wanted to tell you just that part of our ambition is also international cooperation. And of course, obviously, we will have a very good and important context with our closest neighbors. These are our Eastern Partnership and also West Balkans. But as important is our cooperation with major players, global players, and in this regard, the re-engagement of the United States towards the Paris Agreement is very important. And I do look positively for 2021 as a year to reinforce our external energy relations. And of course, by doing so, we need good partners, but our ambition and strategic direction of the Green Deal will help us to keep our global leadership as a sustainable energy promoter. And in this regards, this will strengthen our industry, and also it will keep us in the position where in several sectors we do have technological leadership. And we will do our utmost so that we will keep this positive leadership also in the years to come. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you very much for your opening remarks and your optimistic goals. Let me now shift the discussion on the pandemic. I wonder how much the pandemic is pushing backwards the target set by the Green Deal. And are you optimistic on reaching the goals that you just referred to, set by the Commission by 2030? And what do you see, what do you find, what do you consider is the biggest challenge right now?
Well, as you know, our President Ursula von der Leyen, she presented our Green Deal as a growth strategy before the pandemic started. And of course, the health crisis that started last year has many terrible consequences, but it has, in fact, has some positive impacts on the energy sector. For example, last year, the demand for electricity dropped, but at the same time, wind and solar generation broke new records thanks to the favorable weather conditions and also added new capacities. And as a result of that, wholesale prices for power in the EU went down by an average 20%, 20 euros per megawatt hour. And also, this economic shock caused a dip in greenhouse gas emissions worldwide. And we know that in some cases, these are temporary effects, but some trends could be here to stay. And also, we witnessed the faster switching from coal to gas. So, in the past year, we also showed that the European grid is capable of dealing with high shares of wind and solar generation. And we had very good examples from some member states. For example, there was a week in Spain when wind and solar power averaged 54%, and it was even better for 1 week in Germany when it went as high as 57%. But when it comes to implementing Green Deal, the pandemic hasn't had a negative effect either, because we remained committed. And in the middle of the pandemic, the EU leaders, they endorsed the commitment to climate neutrality and agreed the new and more ambitious targets for 2032. So they also adopted EU's long-term budget, and on top of that, recovery budget that will channel 30% of the money to climate-related investments. And with this recovery and resilience facility, this is our main recovery instrument. Even 37% of funds will be used for green budget projects, and by doing that, we can say that this is unprecedented amounts that will accelerate the green transition. And also, I'm proud that our 2030 targets are ambitious, but before adopting those, we did a thorough impact assessment. And this impact assessment showed us that those very ambitious targets are also realistic. And while on one hand, it's a challenge, on the other hand, it's also an opportunity to give a boost to our recovery and also increase our competitiveness. And by doing so in the long run also. And in the short and medium term, it creates new and good and green jobs. And to conclude, I think that the main challenge is the overall speed and also scale of the change. And in the energy sector, we must rethink the way the whole system works and to make it more integrated and flexible, because our power is already produced to a significant extent by renewables, and now we hope that this trend will continue at a fast pace. But however, there are sectors where electrification is difficult or even impossible, like heavy industry and some areas of heavy-duty transport. And this is why we are focusing so much on renewable hydrogen that is produced with solar and wind energy. And we do hope that hydrogen can be used in cement and steel factories and in long-haul trucks and ships and planes. And this is why we came out with hydrogen strategy already last year, and are now working on putting in place the rules for the emerging hydrogen market. Thank you.
So I understand, as you said, the pandemic has worked as an accelerator of change, and hopefully all countries will keep up the same pace to reach the ambitious goals. Let me pan the discussion a little bit on Greece. Our country is setting up some very ambitious projects, such as the offshore wind farms, and is currently working on the legal framework. What role do you sense that these renewables could play in the overall energy mix in our country? And could you offer us some numbers also?
Well, in a climate neutral economy, the energy system has to be largely based on renewables. And as I said earlier, the share of the renewables has to grow significantly already by 2030. And it has to do so across Europe, but also in Greece. And so we need to quickly scale up offshore and also onshore wind, but also solar PV and renewable hydrogen. And we have to develop technologies like emerging technologies like floating solar panels or ocean energy. And as elsewhere in Europe, moving away from fossil fuels like lignite and focusing on renewables can be a source of sustainable growth. And it can be a source of new green jobs for Greece. And renewable energy production and consumption have already significantly increased in Greece You are in line with the 2020 target, as you almost achieved your national target of 20% renewables already 1 year earlier. And now you have set a 35% objective for 2030. We assessed it last autumn, and Commission assessment found that it is sufficiently ambitious, and we encourage Greece to ramp up its efforts to further increase renewable penetration and deliver the necessary reforms so that you will reach this ambitious target. And I know that there are also large-scale solar farms planned in Western Macedonia and Megalopoli, and an interesting project in Crete. And the move towards offshore wind will certainly be strongly encouraged, and we should be supportive to Greece's future projects. So the other thing is that applying to the energy efficiency first principle is also important. It is important during a time when the country faces the double challenge of phasing out lignite and implementing a significant number of renewable projects until 2030. And Greek National Energy and Climate Plan and the draft Recovery and Resilience Plan also refer to new solutions for long term. One of them is hydrogen, and we very much welcome this. And of course, encourage Greece to propose pilot projects in the final Recovery and Resilience Plan. Thank you.
You just referred to Western Macedonia. I know, I'm sure you're aware that Greece has announced it will cease all operations of existing lignite-fired power plants by 2023, except one that will actually close down by 2028. Now, the question is, how much important is the Commission putting on that front, and would Greece see some additional funds from the just traditional development plan of lignite areas?
Indeed. I must say that Greece has impressed me with its target to phase out lignite already in this decade, and I often use it as an example when I speak to governments who do not have similar target dates at place until now. And it is certainly ambitious, but also doable in your case. And me and the European Commission, we stand ready to support Greece, including through EU funding. And to ensure that the transition is fair, we have created this Just Transition Fund and platform because this is needed, not only financial support, but also sharing best practices for the most vulnerable regions. And ensuring a fair transition of the lignite areas of Western Macedonia and Megalopolis, this is also key priority, not only for your government, but for the European Commission too. And from our perspective, this is based on 3 pillars. Employment protection in those regions, then compensation of the socioeconomic impact of the transition, and also energy self-sufficiency of lignite areas and the country at large. And the financial support will come from the Just Transition as well from other EU instruments. In the Commission proposal for a Just Transition Fund, Greece was allocated 294 million euros, focusing on Western Macedonia and Peloponnese, as well as Crete and also Aegean islands. And under the Just Transition platform, we are going to help to build a local capacity, also with a new stream of technical assistance named START. In fact, START started already last year in West Macedonia and Megalopolis. And in this context, the previous initiative, the goal regions in transition, also helped us already to establish country teams in which we discuss specific projects with local stakeholders in one region at a time. so that we can improve the overall approach to just transition issues. And we are ready to assist Greece both financially and with expertise. And at the same time, this has to be a joint effort. We need you to come up with the best practices that you have had already, and of course, best project ideas that are suited to the needs of your specific regions. Because you know how to take into consideration your strength, and every region has its own vision for the future. And of course, people have different aspirations. So every just transition plan will be handmade, designed specifically for this region, and we can't do it from Brussels. We can only assist you and help you, but we need local activity in this regard. Thank you.
Well, hopefully this will be a good great success story, and we'll share the good practice, and hopefully we'll be here again at some years, commenting on the plan and see how it goes. Let me span the discussion a little bit on the pipelines. On the one hand, the TAP pipeline recently commenced its commercial operation, being a very strong pillar of the South Corridor strategy. I was wondering how important Commission sense this project is, and also the EastMed project is underway. It's a very ambitious one. Recently, Hungary and Bulgaria, apart from Greece and Cyprus, expressed their support for the project. And I wonder how is the Commission supporting this program, and whether you feel that it somehow strengthens Europe's energy security.
Well, the commercial startup of TAP, it is a major achievement, and not only because it started operating in the middle of the pandemic, but also because it provides access to a new supply source of gas for the region. And at the same time, it enables better connectivity between the countries that can benefit not only from the new gas sources, but also from trading opportunities. And as a key part of the Southern Gas Corridor, TAP is strategically and economically important for Europe. And of course, it provides reliable access to a new source of natural gas while boosting Europe's energy security and supply diversification. The road towards climate neutrality is long, and it requires different pathways for different starting points. And in this context, we see a role of gas as a bridging fuel. The European Council has also recently recognized gas as a transition fuel that plays a role during the transition period, ensuring that we phase out more polluting sources. At the same time, in the future Green Deal world, the gas sector will have to be decarbonized and leave space for the integration of hydrogen and other decarbonized fuels. And we recognize the role of gas in the clean energy transition, but at the same time, we are also clear that this role entails a new responsibility. And that's why, for example, the EU is prioritizing taking action on methane emissions. And we know that methane is multiple times more harmful than CO2 in the short term. And a large part of methane leaks resulting from gas production can be reduced at almost net zero cost. And this is an action where I want to play more a leading role, and we will pay particular attention and move fast in this issue. And of course, well, once there will be a IGB pipeline, when it will become operational, it will provide a direct connection between TAP and Bulgaria, as well as additional capacity between Greece and Bulgaria, including for LNG. And like TAP, IGB will increase also the diversity of natural gas sources and supplies and offer more choice to the consumers. And during our transitional period, this is important. Thank you.
Very nice. Finally, Commissioner, are you following up the electricity target model and its implementation in the Greek market as a mean to have a more competitive energy market, both in the wholesale and the retail market? And would you like to have any comments on that?
Sorry, I didn't got the question. Can you ask it
Yes,
once again?
let me tell my let me say my question again. I was asking you about the target model and its implementation in the Greek market, so as to achieve a more competitive market both in wholesale and retail. I'm wondering whether the Commission is following the implementation and whether you have any comments on that.
Yes, well, we are at the Commission and in particular at the Directorate General Energy. We are indeed following very closely the development and completion of the electricity target model. And this is part of the implementation of our energy key and an important precondition for the fulfillment of the clean energy package and Green Deal goals. And in 2018, the Agency for the Cooperation of Energy Regulators, ACER, estimated that even a partial market coupling across Europe has benefited European consumers by approximately 1 billion euros, 1 billion euros per year.
Finally, Commissioner, you come from a country that is very well known on a global scale for its digital transformation, for the way the government is serving its citizens. And now they were talking in front of a Greek audience. I was wondering whether we have any good practice examples or any ideas sharing about the digital transformation that our country is actually experiencing, and whether you have a few words to say about how to believe in this project or any more, I would say, tips and advices.
What a great question. And indeed, and Estonia was an early adopter of digital technologies, and we are applying them in all spheres of life, also including governance. But many other countries like Greece are following suit, so we have to work hard to maintain our leadership and keep improving. Um, I think that most probably Estonia is the only country in the world where 99% of the public services are available online 24/7. So e-services are impossible basically only when you want to marry or divorce. Then you still have to go out of the house, but the rest you can do digitally. And the most famous examples are online voting and submitting the tax declaration. Both take only a few minutes, and they are widespread. So there are significant shares of those votes that come in online, and almost all tax declarations are filled digitally. But of course, there are other services that make people's lives easier, and it also makes state more effective and transparent. There is e-health system and digital prescriptions and e-schools and e-law and different registers that are accessible, and it saves a lot of time. And of course, you need for that digital ID cards, you need smart ID and also mobile ID, so I can give signatures using my mobile phone because I have special chip. And this makes life easier even with those citizens who are not every day living in Estonia, but they still have to do their transactions with authorities in Estonia. And there is a calculation that thanks to all digital solutions, small country like Estonia saves over 844 years of working time every year. And it's, of course, good for environment and good for the climate, because instead of driving to the appointments or printing out papers, everything is done virtually. And the other outcome is a strong digital culture and very well existing infrastructure that also puts Estonia in the position where we are the front runners when it comes to startups. So there are almost 5 times as many startups per capita as the EU average. And unlike many traditional businesses, startups kept growing also through the crisis. So this is also one possible solution for the mining region, because like every member state in Europe, also Estonia has its own problems, its own oil shale mining regions, which are looking for new possibilities, opportunities, and jobs. And this might be also a very interesting example for Greece. Thank you.
Good to know. Commissioner Simson, thank you so much for being with us. It was an honor to have the final chat of the Athens Energy Dialogues. There's a long way ahead, as you just explained. There are very ambitious goals set by the Commission. Hopefully, we'll see a good transition over the next few years. Or you touched upon very important issues on Greece and its own ambitious goals. Thank you very much for being with us. And hopefully next year we might have you near us in Athens and don't use any digital tools to have a lively conversation. Thank you very much for being with us.